Welcome everyone to our event today, the Challenge of Online Supervision, our interview with Anne Stokes. And thank you for coming back to do another event with us.
Yeah, fine. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Oh, well,
Thank you for
we mustn't have frightened you off the time before, so.
Not totally.
Not totally. We'll see how it goes tonight, I guess.
Yes, you might succeed this time. Totally frightening me.
Yes. And a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us online. It's great to have people here, especially with the Jubilee weekend here in the UK. So really looking forward to your comments and questions in the chat room and maybe some responses in the live poll. That'd be lovely, just to get a sense of what people are doing around supervision, if they use online supervision. So great. And just to kind of locate you, can you give us a sense of where you are geographically?
Right. Geographically, I'm in Hampshire, in a smallish village between Basingstoke and Winchester. A pretty village, quite a sort of English village. It's good. We're nice and near to London for doing things. We're nice and near to the coast. Good traffic sort of communications. I must stop waving my hands, sorry.
Oh, don't worry. I'll be gesturing as well. Oh, well, that sounds lovely and much nearer the Jubilee than us, I guess.
Indeed, yes. I was up in town on Friday, and when I was on the train coming home, I thought I really should have gone to Canary Wharf because they were assembling all the boats there, or the barges, or whatever you call them, and I could have gone and seen them, but I didn't think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that would have been lovely.
yeah.
And Anne, I guess I'm thinking about your professional journey. Could you give us a sense of that, and including what you've done around online supervision? Because I think that's really very interesting in terms of what we're doing tonight, especially.
Okay. I trained as a counsellor in the mid-80s and sort of, like lots of people, did lots of individual private work, set up a private practice for counselling, for supervision, did a lot of training, worked at the University of Bristol for many years on the Diploma and the Master's programme. And in 2000, a friend of mine was part of a group that was setting up an online training, and they were needing clients and wanted people, counsellors basically, who, if things went wrong, could look after themselves as clients. And I said, yep, I'd be a client, not obviously for her, but for somebody else on the course, because I was totally convinced that online counselling was a total waste of time. You couldn't form a relationship, and it was, one of those things I wanted to prove. And after a very successful time of being a client, I had to eat my words, and that's when I decided to train as an online counsellor. So I trained, and then I guess because I was already a trainer, I was asked if I'd like to join the training team, and we developed online supervision, online counselling training at that point, and I began to run workshops on online supervision. Sort of we still do them on Saturdays and Sundays, sort of 3 hours on each day. We also, when Jill Jones, my co-director of OLT, began the Diploma in Counselling, the online Diploma in Counselling, at that point, very early on, we actually ran some option modules. We don't do that any longer because it's too complex, but we ran some option modules, and one was supervision, and I piloted that. I ran that and piloted that, and loved it, because I really do like online I like supervision full stop, and I like online supervision very much. And we've sort of gone on thinking about sort of online supervision, and number of people have said we really ought to be running a diploma in online supervision. So last year, I can't remember what year we're in, yes, last year, I wrote and got validated by CPCAB, the Counselling Psychotherapy awarding body, a new diploma in Online Therapeutic Counselling Supervision, try and get the mouthful right. And we're going to start running that in October, and I'm very excited about it. So it should be good, I think. And so it's come about really because people have asked us to do it. So there obviously is a need. I think it's maybe a sign of online counselling becoming sort of perhaps more embedded and not mainstream, it's hardly that yet, but more mainstream, rather in the way that in face-to-face counselling, sort of there was supervision sort of happening on the side and people became supervisors because they'd been around counselling for a long time. I think the same thing's happening in online work, that people have been around a long time, are offering online supervision, and just as happened in face-to-face, it's been realised that actually probably we ought to think about how we train and what we do. And that sounds a bit sort of solemn, but that's how it's come about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's lovely to chart that history, and I guess it gives us a sense of what's happening in the field of online therapy and counselling.
Yeah.
That it is starting to mature, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And obviously that's happening more quickly than face-to-face counselling matured, simply because we've got that original basis of face-to-face work. When you think how long it took for that to become more than sort of a barefoot profession, it's
It's already starting to happen with
online.
online counselling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. And
Thank you for that real sense of what you do and what your journey's been. And I guess I also want to mention that you write a column for the TILT Magazine.
Yes. Right. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I've sort of written obviously about online counselling and about independent practice. A book for potential clients to tell them about counselling. One in the pipeline, possibly about the therapeutic relationship. And I'm the online supervision editor for TILT. Kate and Deanna's very good online journal. So yes, I'm right. I forget.
Yes. You've written loads and it's ongoing, I guess. So not only have you been in and around online counselling and supervision work for a long time, but you've written a lot of the leading texts and regular columns and so it's great to have you here today talking about something you're so passionate about.
Yeah. And I want to say, just in case there are any of my supervisees in the chat room, what I'm saying is probably a counsel of perfection as we go on to talk about online supervision. And if you think, well, she didn't do that with me when we set up, or, well, that's not what happens. Well, some of it I'm talking about what I think is good practice, not because it's evolved over time. And certainly my practice has changed over time as I've sort of thought more about it, thought about the ethical issues and discovered some of the pitfalls and things. So don't do as I do, do as I say.
We'll remember that, Anne. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Well, the other question I wanted to kind of ask you as we open up the interview is around what can online supervision mean? So we're using that term, but what are you thinking about when we say online supervision?
Okay. I think there are sort of several parts to it. It can be, first of all,